Oh my goodness, look at that, dude. It says we're live. Dude, Magic Will Middleton, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I am just waking up, getting into the day. I got like client messages, doing custom development, so I hope it didn't go poorly, but we'll find out after the call.
Well, sometimes you find out, sometimes you don't. Before we go too far, I want to open up the call with the announcement that I missed. We didn't miss it last week. I just thought I'd be strategic and keep it till the end of the call. But we want to say it at the beginning of the call and at the end of the call. And I already put the comment out there once before the show, but let's make sure that now that we're live, I can put it in there again for you. Folks, if you are watching this live stream, you want to hit that link if you like what you hear in this next broadcast for the next 55 minutes. You can get 55% off at LifterLMS by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. AMA is not for the American Motorcyclist Association. It is for, it's not for the American Medical Association either. It's for Ask Me Anything. And that is what me and Magic Will Middleton are here for the next 55 minutes. That is to answer your questions about LifterLMS and to, kind of do that deep dive on integrating Lifter with your WordPress version or installation and really just help you get to the next step. How's that, Will?
That's good. I think there's like a 50% off sale going right now. And I think that AMA gift applies to anything, but you'll find on the pricing page 50% off, but this is 55% off. So this is a little bit better deal. So probably the best deal you'll find outside of a Black Friday season.
It is a better deal. Oh my goodness. Let's see. We've got people that can pre-register for the call today. And I'm going to give a quick look into the listing to see if anyone pre-registered and asked a question before the call. We've got a system now where you can ask your questions before the call, and we can go ahead and, basically just see what people are thinking. We've got one, pardon me. I'm going to copy it and put it into the comment section for us, Will. Let's see. Looks like it's a long question, too.
Wow. I'd love to know whether there's a straightforward means by which one can limit the visibility of menu items based on logged in users' course purchase history. I like the start of that sentence. I'd love to know whether there's a straightforward means by which one can limit. Like it's very proper. When it's a LifterLMS add-on, whether it's a LifterLMS add-on or a proven third-party strategy by others, I want to limit the visibility of menu items based on logged in user course purchase history. So I made a video a long time ago that's pretty popular about like login versus log out menu items. So you could say like, oh, this menu item is supposed to show to someone who's not logged in, or this item is supposed to show to someone who is logged in. And that was, I think, using another third-party plugin. Let me pull up the dashboard. I don't think there's a way to do this based on user status unless you're going to integrate with something like WP Fusion.
Whoops. I clicked on somebody's Facebook question and it opened up another video. I apologize.
Oh, you're good. I didn't hear anything. I've been locked out of Facebook for a minute. I uploaded my ID a bunch of times. They're like, this isn't you. And I'm like, what the hell? What am I going to do here?
Do you have a picture without the beard?
Well, I have like my passport photo, which is also like much older, like when I was like 15. So I don't know. I'm just gonna go in a chat with Facebook people today, but that's gonna be a nightmare. But I'm gonna dive into
nightmare.
It is about me. So we can't actually control the visibility of this based on course or membership enrollment, but with WP Fusion we can. I want to see like if the light version of WP Fusion lets us do this. Another option here, though, I can present you another option that might work for you, but I want to check WP Fusion first. There's another thing called block visibility. If you're using blocks in your menu, you do have an option there as well.
Which would be the case with full site editing.
Yeah, if you're on like a Sky Pilot with LifterLMS or like WordPress 2024 theme, let's try the notification thing. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's maybe I need to like integrate it with Lifter. I don't have my CRM set up. You know what? I'm just going to go to the full site editing answer. If you have the pro version of this will definitely work. What you would do is you would say, I'm going to display based on tag which menu items appear. So in the menu items, you can say like, oh, you must have a certain tag to view a certain menu item. So it works on that one-by-one basis. But a full site editing solution, if you're using like LifterLMS Sky Pilot theme, would be to launch into the editor, jump into patterns, header, edit this. Looks like I've got no content. There we go. What I would do is I would duplicate this whole header, or I would duplicate just the menu group. It doesn't really matter if you duplicate the entire thing or just the menu. What we can do with block visibility from this point is say, hey, I want to display this to everyone, but I don't want to display to everyone. This one on the top actually is going to be for like people who are logged out, or maybe people who don't have access. So we say non-enrolled users or visitors. So you're not enrolled in any of the specific. I get confused by this logic all the time, like all, any. You would say, I am not enrolled. It depends on the amount of programs you have, right? So I'm not enrolled in all of the courses following, right? So you'd say, if you have 3 courses, like, let's see if it'll pull up my courses. There we go. Like the Quick Start course. So if you are not enrolled in the Quick Start course, you will see this menu right here. But if we are enrolled in the Quick Start course, what we would say, this is something to play around with. I love this block visibility thing, but if we are enrolled in the Quick Start course, we're going to see this item right here. So we can start to create a header that has conditional display conditions based on whether you're in a certain course or membership, and you can get really complex with the logic. It just takes sometimes like 20 minutes for me to write out the logic and make sure it works and test and be like, oh wait, if you're enrolled in this but you're not enrolled in this, and then you see this header but there's like a third one. A little bit of logic there, but LifterLMS has the logic to support you if you're working with a full site editor for that.
Nice. Does Elementor have anything like that, like where you would say this template plays for certain users or not for certain users? Like if you had a header that was you create multiple headers?
Yeah, with tangible Lifter Elements, you could do based on enrollment condition. Tangible Lifter Elements is like a LifterLMS Elementor integration in the ecosystem that's very popular. I don't think plugins like Liftor can do that, like Liftor. That's like a free LifterLMS Elementor integration made by Saeed Masri in our community. But Gabriel and Team Tangible also have one called Lifter Elements. That one has a conditional logic feature in like their middle plan. They're like $189 plan that allows you to show things based on enrollment. So you can do the exact same thing I just showed, but inside Elementor. Otherwise, you just use like a free dynamic visibility for Elementor plugin, but that one only lets you do log in, log out, not really course specific.
Gotcha. I chucked another one there into comments. This one came from our Facebook page. This was an interesting one, and I kind of threw in a generic answer into the Facebook, but I just wanted to throw it to you, Will, to see if maybe you had a different perspective. From our Facebook, it says, a curious thing just started happening with certificates. It seems that the course is 100% complete for students, but we have to now manually award the certificate. The only thing that has changed is we remove some of the lessons which are no longer valid. We put them in trash, but we have not deleted them. They are no longer any of the dependencies that I can see. However, the issue with the certificates only started after removing these lessons and section. Any ideas? And then it says, doesn't seem to be any way to rebuild the course or the trigger for the certificate to be awarded. I have a workaround solution in my head, but I also had a possible cause, and I was wondering if you and I might be on the same page.
Yeah, I'm saying it seems the course is not 100% complete for students. The only thing is that the changes, I don't know what manually, like if you earn a certificate and then you delete the course, the certificate doesn't go away. So if anyone has already earned a certificate, it shouldn't go away or change or anything. If somebody did not complete the course and then you delete it, then yeah, it's going to go away. But like they're not going to be able to reach 100% completion. And so you would have to manually award those. I don't know. That's all I can think of with this question.
I saw it like, so let's say they've got a course with 10 lessons. And then they were given out, they had an automation through the engagements, and it was given out certificates. Everything was fine. People did 10 lessons, they got a certificate. They did 10 lessons, they got a certificate. And then you went along and you deleted 2 of the lessons. And then they do the 8 lessons, but they don't get a certificate. In my mind, I was thinking, what if there's some kind of server cache or page cache or some kind of caching that is looking for those 10 elements to be completed, and there's only 8 elements getting completed, even though it'll show all 8 are done, it's still looking for 2 like phantom elements until you purge the cache.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense, right? So you could skip the trigger. Like the LifterLMS engagement system requires like some math to be correct.
Yeah.
Usually, and I mean, I guess that would disrupt the math of like, oh, what's the course progress right now? If it's not 100%. I think that kind of makes sense. I'd have to see this website.
Yeah. And then in my workaround brain, because I don't really like to troubleshoot crazy stuff. I mean, I think I'm pretty upfront about that, right? I'm not, I'm pretty lazy when I can be. I don't think, so I would clear the cache, and I might clear the server side cache if I had access to the server side, just to make sure that, you know, all the cache is cleared, redo this thing, test it and see if it works. And if it works, great, you fixed it. If it didn't for some reason, dude, I would be so tempted to like clone the course, set up a new certificate engagement, and try that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot of factors there. So if you submit a support ticket on that, like Kurt said, if it's like a caching thing, if you're using like Cloudflare, it could be like a hosting thing. There will be a bit more information in your system report that you give to the support team. I just don't think we have enough information to really be able to help out with this one, but because that doesn't sound like something that should happen.
That doesn't sound like something that should happen. And that's, you know, you make a good point though, right? Like people should be able to, you know, if you're a paying user of LifterLMS, we've got support. Like submit a support ticket and make that happen. If you're an unpaid user of LifterLMS, well then, you know, jumping into the Facebook page, you know, going through the knowledge base and all that kind of stuff can really help too.
100%. All those resources are available for you. We have all kinds of free and paid features, documentation for free all over the website, so you can find extensive tutorials on the plugin and everything there.
From a customer standpoint, dude, that's actually what kind of lured me into LifterLMS, you know, 9 years ago. And that was, I had questions and I went into the knowledge base, and the documentation was pretty stout. I mean, even 9 years ago. And because I can remember using other plugins and being like, this doesn't work. You know, I'm having this error code, and like not being able to find anything anywhere, right? And with Lifter, I was like, I'm a pretty independent person. I don't like to use support tickets unless I need to. And so I would exhaustively research the resources, and Lifter always seemed to have an answer somewhere, or at least a direction to an answer somewhere. Like I can remember when I was on PayPal and didn't know why my subscriptions weren't subscribing, and it had to do with reference transactions. I mean, there was documentation that sent me to PayPal, but at least it put me in the right direction. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'm building a BuddyBoss site right now too. They're going to deploy it into an app. I am. And so, I mean, like they're signing up for the Play Store, and the BuddyBoss people are going to deploy it. But like, I'm going to build like the app pages, the UX and stuff. And so that's a whole new thing. Like LifterLMS does work well with BuddyBoss. People ask a lot of questions about, can I build a mobile app with my LMS website? And BuddyBoss App Presser, those are kind of the two main tools that I hear talked about. You can also use third-party services to build apps, but those apps are more likely going to be like a link tree or have functionality that's not related to your LMS. If you're trying to take your LMS and put it into an app, that's where you're probably going to want to use one of these WordPress solutions to build that app out, especially if you're building an app for under the $10,000 budget mark. These are the tools you'll be considering. And I don't know. I guess those have been the only tools I've seen deploy into a successful WordPress app. Of like, I took my WordPress site and successfully made it into an app. And so I've heard like people like, oh, I've heard mixed feedback about this, like mixed feedback about whether BuddyBoss works well with Lifter, whether BuddyBoss is like a good tool at all. But it's like, well, there aren't really many tools out there that will take content from such a high level of like WordPress posts, WordPress pages, WordPress courses, and turn it into an app for iOS or Play Store for Google. And so, I mean, like it's sort of a cutting edge technology. And I think we get this question a lot when it comes to cutting edge technology is like, why is it broken? Or why does it break? And it's like, well, it sometimes does because it's just kind of a cutting edge thing. And I'm just getting exposed to BuddyBoss for the first time in a while again. It's interesting.
BuddyBoss to me, well, for me, it's become kind of an also ran thing. Like it's not I mean, I've got 6 or 7 projects on BuddyBoss now. So I've got a few different instances and use cases.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, Will, is only 2 or 3 of them actually follow our core advice that we give almost every week. Build your tribe and your audience before you launch all these crazy tools. And so a lot of them, I have a fair amount of these BuddyBoss instances that have very little traffic. And I think that's one of the hardest things is like, okay, so now you've got groups, you've got discussion boards, you've got timelines, you've got member directories, and dude, if there's nobody in them, it just doesn't look right. And the thing that's cool about BuddyBoss is you could grow your learning site without BuddyBoss and get you 50 or 75 or 100 paying users, right, on some kind of subscription basis. And then 6 months or a year later, have a huge announcement that announces your new social tools, to this pre-existing audience of 100 people. And then you would instantly have 100 profiles and 100 timelines and one news feed with 100 people putting in their comments. And then you would be off to a much more successful launch, I think.
Yeah, and I think you can deploy the BuddyBoss application without needing community. I think you can use just the nice layouts they have to offer in that like left-hand buddy panel.
Dude, their blogs and course and lesson structures, I don't even touch them. I take them out of the box. That's it. That's what you get. I want to rearrange. No, you don't. That's what you get right there.
It's nice. It's slick. They have like that featured image that sticks to the right. And I was going to show a demo, but then I have to put in my email now. You used to be able to spin up a free demo, but now I've got to get my email. So I'm not going to do that now.
Our old friend Adam Silver is with us today on the new Ask Me Anything format, Mr. Silver. Too many people do the whole cart before the horse when it comes to building a biz. And we say that every week now, Adam. It's my new mantra, man, because I've gotten into the weeds with a lot of people lately over some minutia. And it's like, I don't even know why we're on Zoom for the last 45 minutes. You are nowhere near needing this tool, let alone discussing how to implement it.
Yeah, I did have a discussion with a business owner who is entering the LifterLMS ecosystem, curious about building community, and she's like new to everything, didn't really have a community built up on a social media or anything, selling courses from the $500 to $2,000 price point, eventually going higher. And so my advice to people who are like just getting started with building community is definitely to have that community, but like what you can do is start out, like what her plan is to start with some podcasting and Kurt has recently unlocked a bunch of tools that allow you to take your 60-minute videos, your 60-minute videos, dump them into an AI tool, get yourself back 10 to 12, like clips, and maybe 5 of them will be great. And then you'll just take those clips and upload them to your social media for distribution and building up a following on those platforms for your topic. And once you have that following on your platforms, since you get about 1,000 people on 3 different social medias, you can start putting out offers, right? And 3%, let's say, of those people who are on social media will click your link just to check out what you have to offer. So if you have 3,000, 3% is 90. And then of your 93% of those people might convert to a sale. So you're at 90, so like 2 conversions. So once you have that amount, you'll start to see a little bit of pickup from your offers. I think jumping from even like, you follow me on social media, how about give me $500? That's a big jump. And so I think having a few offers in the middle of like, oh, I have this ebook I developed on this topic, or like I have some private podcasts, or let me give you access to the unedited archive of podcasts for like just a $10 a month subscription or something, will get people into the door and receiving value at a lower price point to where they'd be more interested at that $500 mark. That's just my advice for getting started, is building the community with content you already have or content you develop, but it doesn't have to be super complicated. And then you'll have some community traction for when you start putting out paid offers.
Pricing's such a huge thing. One of the features that LifterLMS grants people, like during Black Friday sales and stuff like that, is they have that pricing matrix worksheet thing. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty cool. It helps people price things out. But I always try to think of things from a 10x perspective. Like, and I'm not exactly a Grant Cardone fan who's coined that term, but I've read his book, 10x, whatever it is. It's a yellow book. I got it somewhere. I don't know where the heck it is. Oh, the 10x rule. It's right there on my bookshelf. The 10x rule. And I use that to a certain extent. I want to make sure, like, if I charge someone $100 for training or consulting or to access a course, I want to make sure they're going to make at least $1,000 added revenue off of that input, right? Off of that added value. If I charge them $1,000, I need them to make $10,000. A good example of this is, I have a training package I sell in the power sports community where I'll train a whole store for $44,000. And people listening to this call right now are probably going, oh my goodness, no one's going to swipe a credit card for $44,000. There's ways to do that. So don't freak out, right? So the cost of entry is $44,000, but I'll train the whole store, right? But the people that take those courses, typically in an average size motorcycle dealership, can see anywhere from $600,000 to $800,000 in additional revenue. I'm not saying additional profit. I'm saying additional revenue through their store, right? And so there's definitely a 10x example there. So I try to think about that, because when you touched on pricing there, Will, it kind of got my cackles up, kind of fired me up a little bit. We've got people that jump on our calls and say they're going to change the world and become millionaires in the process. And it's like, well, is that real? Right. It's those Dean Gracioni guys posing next to Lamborghinis on YouTube telling you to make courses because that's the road to being a millionaire. That's a hard pill for me to swallow. But I do like to help people find, their successes along the way. I think of like, boy, my ADD is on strong today. I think of like, Gary V, right? Have you listened to any Gary V stuff? Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah, for sure.
He's like, you don't have to make $1 million. Like I love when he says that. Like everyone thinks they need to reinvent Facebook or reinvent X or Twitter or, no, you don't have to do that. You can come up with something that meets your core, your passion, what motivates you in the morning, what makes you smile and giggle. Will, it doesn't matter what it is on 2 wheels that I get to ride. I grin like a little child. My friends have noticed that. Like they could hand me a rusted out scooter, right? And I would ride it around in the parking lot and come back giggling. And they're like, dude, there's something wrong with you. You get happy to ride anything. And I do. I love anything on 2 wheels. And so when I do stuff in the power sports industry, I don't have to make $1 million. Like if you're doing what you love to do and you can turn $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 on the side as a side hustle, that's great money. You don't have to become a millionaire. That's definition of success can be redefined.
Yeah, 100%. And I was going to show something with Lifter. I forgot what it was. I don't even remember. Doesn't matter. With Lifter, you can create all kinds of pricing structures. Adam in chat here's a different take regarding the 10x mindset.
Now I'm wondering if that's his affiliate. His 10x is getting affiliate pay. Did you see the question I put in there from Dale?
Oh yeah, let's hold that up from Dale. In Facebook, is Stripe changing their rules on digital content sales? There's been some buzz around courses, and some other digital content could be dropped. Anyone hearing about this? I haven't heard about that.
We kind of discussed it on the all hands meeting yesterday with LifterLMS, but not from this perspective. I think it's really unreasonable to think that a company the size of Stripe, with the revenue they generate, I mean, I look at what I pay Stripe. They're making a pretty penny off of me, right? They're getting 2.9% of every sale I make and 30 cents on every transaction. They're doing pretty good on me. I don't think Stripe is going to get rid of digital sales, but I do know that they are revamping the way that they process payments, and that's supposed to sunset their current system like at the end of 2024. Our developers, just to kind of keep everybody in the loop, our developers are already aware of those changes. Anyone that's developing plugins is probably aware of those types of changes, and they're doing away with some of their transactions, but not all of their transactions. They want to be a legitimate payment gateway company, and they're changing some processes, and we're already making changes to accommodate for some of that.
Awesome. I kind of wanted to pedal back into some more generic Lifter stuff for people who are just entering the community with a few questions.
I was gonna do a double deep dive. I was gonna go deep today, man. Enough of the surface nonsense. Let's go deep. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I would love to go back to some beginning stuff. Sometimes I think we get too deep on these calls.
Yeah. I think for anyone who's just joining, they might be confused about the dark mode I have going on my Chrome, but this is a regular LifterLMS demo site. You can get this lifterlms.com/try. You can get access to any of our 3 demo site templates where you can use the LifterLMS add-ons. It comes with an Infinity bundle already installed on it, so you can test out like everything LifterLMS has to offer to see if WordPress feels like a good solution for you, if LifterLMS feels like a good solution for you, and a really good hands-on example. In addition to the core plugin being free, including features like creating courses, creating memberships with engagements, quizzes, and all kinds of other things. There's premium add-ons on our store, like advanced quizzes and private site and assignments and private areas if you want to do one-on-one chat, Stripe payment gateway if you want to take payments with Stripe. And then, like Kurt said, that payment gateway is going to receive some updates, some big updates in the next few months or next end of 2024. So LifterLMS is a super versatile product that works within. Am I breaking up at all?
No, you're good.
Okay, my mouse is giving me like some "you're breaking up" vibes. But spinning wheel of death keeps popping up for me, and I don't know why. So LifterLMS adds a lot of functionality to the backend of WordPress just as a core feature. So you can create courses and memberships, and they're different than pages in that they have certain qualities. For example, lessons are kind of nested under courses. Within this course builder, we can actually outline lessons and group them within sections and sort of create curriculum. It brings a new level of depth into the platform. And so we encourage you to ask any questions you have on our live calls here, and we'd be happy to dive into them. I just wanted to provide a little bit of a higher overview with what LifterLMS does in the backend of your website by just adding course post types, lesson post types, and allowing you to organize, basically creating curriculum structures. And then access plans is another feature LifterLMS adds to WordPress that you might not have seen before, where on each of our courses and memberships, we can decide some access plans and say, how much does it cost? Is it a one-time payment to get involved with this access plan, or is it like $100 a year, $1,000 a year? Lifetime access, is it $100 and it expires after a year? There's a lot of models you can create with LifterLMS. But I think the main things to remember are the post types that are added, what's involved in the free plugin versus what's paid, and thinking around access plans and paying for access to content. Those are like some high level features that everyone will want to think about when it comes to Lifter. And it's open source, right? So you can put it on any WordPress host that you'd like. If you're on a Bluehost, if you're on like a Hostinger, or if you're doing something more premium like Presidium for managed WordPress hosting or WP Engine, there's a lot of options out there. But on any of those options where you can install WordPress, you could add LifterLMS as a plugin to build your curriculum and get it sold in a way. And some course creators start on a platform like Teachable or Udemy, where they're just validating their course offering, see if they can get students. You could also put a course on YouTube. But what I was explaining to the person who's just getting started with their business is that WordPress is like a content management system. So you can take all the assets you're creating, like your podcasts and the shorts you get from the AI, the 60-second videos with some nice like captions on them. Take all the assets for your business and put them into a WordPress example in the back end. Have that be like your recurring membership for access to all of your content for like $30 a month, $100 a month. And then you can deploy 50% of that content or more for free on social medias like YouTube, on Twitter or X and Instagram. You could just take all the content from the back end of your content management system and send it out into the world in order to get some traction for it. We have a question from Michael that you just put in the chat, Kurt. Let's see what this is about. Do the one from Facebook.
This is more crazy deep stuff. You know what? I'm just going to be blunt. I'm going to be really blunt here for a moment on the Ask Me Anything call.
Okay.
I don't know what's in the water for the last 2 to 3 weeks, Will. I don't know, because my support email is full of questions like this. It's not like, how do I activate LifterLMS? It's not like, how do I build my first course? How do I put a quiz in my lesson? It's not like that. It's like, how do I integrate this with that, with the other thing, and turn it purple and shine it upside down, sideways, and park it in my Volkswagen? Those are the questions we've been getting. So I thought I'd throw this one at you.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide between some LMS options for our organization. One key feature we require is to refer users back to answers in future modules. So back to the future, we're using like a workbook, and there's no right or wrong answers. Is this doable? Refer back to a user's answers and refer back to previous answers in future modules.
So I think they're in lesson 1 and they answer a question wrong, and then when they're in lesson 5, they want the system to be able to throw up that user's wrong answer and correct them with content then.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So this is definitely doable with LifterLMS and probably some third-party add-ons. I'll kind of think about it in my head right now, right? Because LifterLMS stores quizzes in like the reporting and stuff. So usually what we're going to think about is like, oh, it goes into the reporting and the actual LMS content doesn't know anything about what's in the reporting, really. It can't like change based on what they asked previously. Probably the thing I would recommend is using LifterLMS custom fields add-on or something, and probably instead of LifterLMS quizzes, like a gravity quiz for people who want to take quizzes to the next level and get a little bit, fancy with it, is to use like Gravity Quiz. Gravity Forms is a very popular plugin, and I'm sure other Forms plugins have a solution for this as well. But you can create quizzes within those systems and like embed them right in your LifterLMS lessons. So it is required that you complete the Gravity Quiz before you can complete a Lifter lesson and move on, because LifterLMS is a Gravity Forms integration. And there's 3 other Forms integrations too, with like WP Forms and stuff. But I'm just using Gravity Forms as an example. So if we were to use their quiz add-on, build a quiz, we can store the information from that quiz in it with a Gravity Forms if we're using the user registration add-on they have. So user registration Gravity Forms. So I'm just going to talk about this at a high level because it would actually take a hot minute to demo this. But
hot minute.
So there's, with LifterLMS, you can create custom fields with the Lifter Custom Fields add-on on a user's profile. Like, for example, when we think of custom fields, we might think of like license number. It's like, give me your first name, your email, your password when you sign up, but I also want your license number because we're going to print it on your certificate. That's a pretty common way to think about custom fields. Or like, what's your favorite color? You include that in the sign up form, and then maybe you use that data to change the color of the website. Like, so LifterLMS custom fields can ask for custom data like your birthday or whatever you want. But let's imagine that we're asking for custom data like, what was your answer to question 1 in lesson 2? And like, we could add a ton of custom fields to the user's profile with LifterLMS custom fields, or anything that could edit the user meta. And we can use our Gravity forms to populate those fields with this user registration add-on. It would like update fields on the user profile. So what I would imagine we would do is I'll just stop sharing, I'm just talking now. We would have a Gravity quiz that would update the user's profile with the answers that they had given. And then you can reference those answers later in your material with LifterLMS custom field shortcodes or some other way. But basically, you're storing all of the answers, not just in the reporting, but in the user's own profile. So then you can reference information from that user's profile in a future lesson. Once you get into like comparison statements, it gets even harder where you're like, that's a little bit too hard. But this is sort of a out of the box, simplest kind of way to do this. But yeah, I would probably recommend just reworking why we're trying to do this all together and like figuring out some other solution to achieve the same result. But if you insist on this setup, LifterLMS custom fields and then pull the data in later lessons and reference it. You just wouldn't be able to say like, oh, you said answer B on lesson 2, and so you got this piece wrong, and because that would actually require comparing the data that's in the field of like, oh, lesson 2 answer 5 was B, so now we're gonna show something different. I think at that point you might as well build some SCORM content and watch Kurt's post about how to integrate that. I don't know. That's kind of a rough answer, but like I think that it is a complicated situation when you want to integrate the. That's like a high level of learning, high level of customization. It's totally possible. It just requires probably some tools that go above and beyond Lifter, maybe some custom development, or maybe even considering like SCORM content for some high touch reactions like that.
You know, it's interesting to me, Will, and this will be another thing that I just call out and be blunt about today. I don't know what's the matter with me today. Something's wrong. I just did a Moodle installation 10 days ago, 14 days ago. I don't know. It was recent, very recent. I knew that Moodle had done an update, and I was like, I keep talking about Moodle and I keep talking about SaaS platforms. I better install a new version of Moodle to make sure I'm not talking out of my rear end about stuff. And I will say the user experience changed a little bit. But here's something that's interesting. When you set up a fresh Moodle installation, and Moodle is e-learning for HTML-based websites. Let's just say it that way, right? So you put this plugin into your website and you launch it, and it's open sourced, right? So there's a lot of parallels with WordPress. In fact, I will go so far as to say there's so many parallels between Moodle and WordPress. If you think of Moodle as the platform and WordPress as the platform, there's like a Moodle.org and a Moodle.com US, and so it's very, and those structures are very similar. That said, you install Moodle, first thing that pops up on your page, which is mostly blank, by the way. There's like no design. There's nothing friendly about this thing. But it shows up with a calendar, right? And how many times have I had clients come to me and go, well, where's the calendar? And I was thinking, why is everybody so, if we focused on asynchronous learning, people learning at their own pace and creating evergreen material through courses as our standard setup, right? Live courses with Zoom integrations and whereby accounts being a secondary setup, right? But our primary setup is based on asynchronous learning. Why would it be based on a calendar, right? And so like these are the things, but then you realize, oh, that's coming from the Moodle world. And then when you think about these custom learning management software sites that people are paying $150,000, $200,000 for, those are typically custom websites that are based off of Moodle and a combination of Moodle's add-ons. And when you get into like Moodle's add-ons, that's where you start to see some crazy stuff, like storing the wrong answer for a future callback. And so we get a lot of these that say, well, this is a requirement for our learning. And in reality, it's not a requirement for the learning. You see it as a requirement because it's something you've gotten used to with your custom $200,000 website, but it's not a requirement for learning. And so I think we need to get back to, what does the student need? We're trying to bridge the smallest gap between your evergreen content and the effective learning with your student. And so in a lot of cases, a lot of these extra bells and whistles or features or custom requests actually make that bridge longer. And so it's really important to think about what's your root cause? Why are you building this project? And then think about, what does Lifter do out of the box that shortens the distance between your content and your student? And then launch a minimal viable product to test it, proof of concept it, and then tweak it as you go.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That's a great point. I would try to find a way to like deconstruct this question, because it would involve like at least $5,000 and just paying people hourly to set up what I described, because it's pretty complicated to actually do this. But like you said, Kurt, probably if we think about like, why are we asking this question to begin with, we want to refer back to answers we had in the future. We could really just ask people to like maybe fill out like a survey or something, and maybe that survey gets emailed to them about like, what do you think about these topics as it relates to like when you start the course, you fill out a survey about what you think some answers are. And then you fill out a survey later in the course, maybe at the end, that says, what do you think about these topics? And then you offer people the opportunity to reflect on their starting survey and their ending survey. That's a lot easier to like create that reflect on your learning experience than it is to like technically store the answers, reference various answers, and display content conditionally based on what people had said. That's a lot more complicated than just having a few touch points and then offering people links to go like look at their survey submissions and see where their opinions and views are changing on these topics as they go through your content.
Yeah, and in your answer, I really like the one thing you said about using SCORM. And so SCORM's a double-edged sword, because personally, I find SCORM to be outdated, even though people hear me say that and really get defensive. There's a lot of people that have paid for 4-year degrees to learn how to be an instructional designer using SCORM platforms. But the SCORM itself is 15, 20 years old, right? And so if I think about modern interfaces and user first, kinds of design elements, I think about, our standard course builder that comes with LifterLMS and how straightforward that is. I also think of it in terms of, I used to be the training manager at a couple of different major corporations. And I know what the budget is to use Articulate 360 and build SCORM packages that are quality, right? And so a quality SCORM package might cost a company 250 to 300 hours of labor. And when you think in terms of like, let's say you're in California and you're paying someone $150,000 a year to be an instructional designer. Well, 300 hours is more than 10% of that person's salary for the year. So that would be $150,000. That would be $15,000 to make a course. And Will and I are typically used to dealing with startups that might spend $15,000 on a total site with courses embedded in it, right? And so when we think about the use of SCORM material, we have to know what path we're going down. But Will was very specific. Like he said, oh, if you know the student path, or pick your path, or take a quiz and get a question wrong and then get redirected to a different path in the package, SCORM can do that. And we have the ability to run SCORM through LifterLMS. So there are ways to make all of that happen. I really like that Will brought that up. And even though it's not cost efficient, it does meet the needs for certain people.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Like, are we looking to get into a project that's not cost efficient, highly technical, and takes a long time to build? Very high quality though. When you deploy a SCORM example that works, it's just so high touch point where like it's literally learning experience designed by hand the way you want it to be. Very specific to the end user, but you are looking at that high budget end of probably above $10,000 or just like a ton of your own time invested. Whereas
Well,
like,
yeah, it comes down to time or money, right? Everything comes down to time or money. And I built the entire Power Sport Academy, the website, all the courses, the email funnels, all of that in about 900 hours. Because, I track, how I do my work. I track my time on all my things, right? So think about that, 900 hours. And I've got 6 courses in there. So if it was built in Articulate with quality, I'd be looking at 1,800 hours just in course building, and then still have 300 or 400 hours into designing the elements of the site.
Yeah. And I mean, if we take price, knocking things over my desk, what is, you said 1,800 hours plus, I mean, what's
plus another 400, right? So that's 2,200 hours versus 900 hours.
I mean, let's just say we're doing like we got a great deal. We did $50 an hour. That's $90,000 just for the SCORM to be developed. And then you have like whatever, it's like, $120,000 total for all that at a $50 an hour rate. So that most of our users are not looking to get into a platform, but some users are though. But that's where LifterLMS offers you some really nice features to be able to deploy learning platforms with not as much effort invested. And I mean, there's effort invested. I just don't mean like $120,000 worth of effort. I mean like, the Infinity bundles were like $1,200 worth of effort plus your own time in learning the platform or hiring an expert. So you're looking at the $10,000 budget or less in most cases. That are not custom development. And most people who are using WordPress are trying to put in their own time instead of spending money on hiring developers. And so it just lowers the barrier to entry. So you are going to need to watch some tutorials and get over the learning curve for learning how to use a theme in WordPress, learning how to use these new post types and access plans and everything, in addition to making your own content, hosting your own videos, publishing your own content, marketing your own content, all that kind of stuff. But you're probably going to come in at that $5,000 budget or less for the entirety of your business over the course of 6 months to a year to be able to put something out there that's powerful on the internet. So that's really where that power comes in. I think I often find myself comparing price points of like, oh, this one is $500 a year, this one is $1,000 a year, but really what we're looking at is a differential of like effort invested over 6 months to a year, and which platform is going to support us the best in that.
Could I bother you for just a moment while you have that? Are you still in that site?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about SCORM versus the course builder, can you go to courses and just show people that are watching what the course builder looks like for a newbie?
Yeah, or like for a new course.
For a new course, for an existing course, but it's kind of cool just to show people, like, so LifterLMS is based on a course hierarchy. So your course is based on lessons. Lessons are within sections. Sections are within courses. And then you can actually group courses together and bundle them, sell them as memberships, or you could have tracks. And tracks would be once somebody completes a set number of courses, they achieve completion of a tract. So there's all kinds of ways to build your evergreen learning material. And then what I wanted to show people was just the simplicity of the course builder, that it breaks things into sections and lessons, and then you can add any content you want to your lessons and courses.
Yeah, so when we create a new course, by default now it fills out one section with 3 lessons for us, just to give us a little bit of a head start. It used to be just blank, and some people had confusion, like, what do I do now? So there's a few like sample lessons already installed, or they're not samples, they're just blank. So you can give your item a lesson title here, or you can just click edit lesson. It takes us into a totally new WordPress post type. And you might notice over on the left, it says courses lessons, because now we're editing a specific lesson called new lesson. Let's call it lesson 1, because that's confusing. Then we can add WordPress blocks here. I know some people activate a page builder like Elementor or Divi on these pages. And at that point, you're getting into like SCORM Lite, because like you don't have all the tools SCORM has to offer. But if you're using a page builder to design your lessons individually, you're trying to upgrade that experience a bit. I usually recommend just using WordPress blocks just like this out of the box, because there's so many tools available over here, especially if you install something like Cadence blocks. You can put in like an accordion if you want. You say, I'm going to put like an FAQ in my lessons here. So this is like a block pack, and we have more of these plugins coming in. Why did I call that one FAQ? What is this thing you mentioned in video? I think a lot of course creators with LifterLMS start with videos first as a format. But I do know some people who do continuing education websites who have just, there's our FAQ, it's blank. But we can start to build out some content on a one-by-one basis. But there are some ways you can do like PDF lessons, you can do text-based lessons.
PowerPoints.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I think the most engaging format we relate to is like video format or audio format right now. So I see mostly videos, but I don't know. What do you see, Kurt? It's like a really popular way to build lessons. Like, what is the most common media or way for people to get in there?
I think one of the most common ways to do it now, Will, is and just kind of stealing the process that we've used at Lifter recently, and that is recording video that is clearly and well spoken, and then AI translating that to text. And so then you have the video plus the text. You can pepper in an image or a bullet list if you want. And then if you wanted to, depending on the type of your learning, you could add some type of knowledge check, some kind of quiz or an assignment. But I like to see diversified content in the pages. I do have some clients that have launched strictly video, like, and it's, I hate to say it's easy, but it is, right? You make the video and then you just embed the video into the lesson page, and then to the next lesson, the next lesson, the next lesson. But sometimes I find the extra stuff on the page kind of keeps the learner engaged better.
Yeah, it does 100%. And you can do like distraction-free modes. Like I know Astra has a distraction-free feature where it like removes the header and footer, or in SkyPilot, of course, you can do that very easily by removing the header and footer on your lesson template. If anyone has questions about that, feel free to drop it in. Coming up on the top of the hour, but Kelly said, I'd like to know if your plugin has the ability to restrict a regular page in WordPress. It absolutely does. So if we jump to a regular page in WordPress, LifterLMS, as Kurt mentioned, has a membership feature. So what we can do is create what would we create? This is like our resource directory, and this is like members only. And like this page might be populated with like some columns, and then those columns might have like some video resources. I wanted a heading, video resources, and text resources. And so basically we can build out a whole page here with some resources, maybe in like a bullet point list, or with links, or however we want to do this. But whatever we put in our page can be restricted on the page level to a membership. So restrict this page to membership. This is in the free core plugin. You don't need any add-ons to access this feature. I have one membership called Academy. So if I were to restrict it, you must be enrolled in the Academy membership to access this page. Of course, as a website admin, I have access, but because we've created our membership and people have to be enrolled in this membership to view the page, if I were to copy my link and log out and go back to the resource directory, we would get a message that says you must belong to Academy to access this content. And so LifterLMS makes that super simple with just a few clicks to lock down some pages.
That is one of the handiest tools that comes with Lifter out of the box. Nick, what's his name? Nick Diaz. I think it's Nick Diaz. Made the plugin that is block visibility. You were talking about that earlier. But block visibility comes with LifterLMS. So it's kind of cool that you're able to take different elements, whether it's a whole page or different elements of a page, and then restrict those based on membership access. That's one of the things I really enjoy about the platform.
Yeah, and like Kurt said, I didn't even show that. It's like you can just have different blocks on a page be restricted by membership view. So it's not even just the entire page or not the entire page. You can have like a course page. And when you look at it as a visitor, it looks one way. It's got the pricing, it's got some nice sales content, it's got a cool sales video. And then once you buy the course, it looks totally different. It's like a get into the lessons and like getting started resources. So the same WordPress page can look different based on whether they're enrolled or not. That's one of the most powerful features of Lifter.
That is cool. Well, we're coming up close to the hour, so I want to make sure that we cover this message one more time and give people a chance to write down the link. I'll also give a shout out to our spammer in the comments. We're not interested in promotion deals to expand our reach or any SEO services or flexible and convenient order management panels. Nothing like that. So yeah, I didn't put your message on screen. For those of you that watched this and found value in it and are interested in pursuing something with LifterLMS, you can get 55% off with LifterLMS using the coupon that you'll find, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, AMA-gift. Again, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. The other thing I'd like to point out is if you're watching this and you're the person that maybe makes a decision for a learning management system, but doesn't do the work involved with building a learning management system, you can obviously give the website lifterlms.com to anyone on your team. The knowledge base is pretty dang complete, but within our website, you'll also see a lifterlms.com/experts, lifterlms.com/experts. And that is where you can find a curated, vetted list of experts that can help you with your LifterLMS build. That to me is just a huge asset because, you know, when I shop for tools in the WordPress space, there's not a lot of plugin companies that have a community of support that's this deep. And so having those options, hey, there's Jonathan Denwood. He's one of my friends. There's not too many other companies in the WordPress space that are this deep on talent. So if you get in over your head, you've always got an option to go out and get the support that you need. So you can get the platform at 55% off by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. And if you get in over your head, you can always get some help at the experts page within our site. We also have a page in our site called recommended resources. So if you're wondering, because you hear Will and I throw words out, WP Fusion, Buddy Boss, you hear words. If you're not familiar with those terms or those titles that we've said today, you can go to lifterlms.com/recommended-resources. And that recommended resources page is a pretty large listing of third-party providers, hosting companies, things like that work really well with LifterLMS. And with that, Will, we are at the top of the hour. Let's just close out with how can people reach you?
It's good.
I don't want them to reach me. I'm busy.
I'm too busy. I do Google Magical Middleton. You find my website. You'll find wpcourseguide.com. I'm all over YouTube. That's kind of where I'm at. How about you, Kurt?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn's my jam. I check LinkedIn almost on a daily basis, just to see what's going on. Yana Nomas is my personal company name, but I'm in the same boat as Will right now. We've just sold a couple of fairly large projects, and it's cool. But you know, the anxiety point of selling those big projects is as you're doing those projects, you got to make sure the top of your funnel doesn't run dry, right? So no matter how busy you are, we're always looking for new faces and new people to talk to.
For sure.
That's it. I'm going to hit the magic do and sign out. Ready?
I'm ready.
Set, go.